welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Divinity Ray, enthusiastically indie, fantasy, and romance author, and I'm currently working on my 4th project, and everything in that project has literally changed. And we're kind of burning the midnight oil. It's 11:30 at night, p.m. Oh no, I was going to say a.m. My hours are all off, okay? I had like a kind of bad chronic flare the other day, and I've still been recovering. And if you know, it just messes up everything, like my whole sleeping schedule in the trash right now. But right now I'm feeling a little energetic, and I want to tell you everything that's changed with this project. So going forward, we're like all on the same page, pun intended. So if you haven't been following along, the TLDR is I had a 90,000 word manuscript that literally almost got published in May of 2026. It started off as just like a short story, like a little novelette, like less than 10,000 words. No, actually it was 13,000 words. I rewrote it again and it was like around 30,000 words. And then I think that is the draft that like broke the story because it could no longer be like this small thing. So then I wrote it again and it was 90,000 words. And I didn't get to publish it back in May after going through like lots of life changes and losing my job. But I have picked it back up and just completely decided to start over. I've learned so much since I finished that draft and was going to send it off for like developmental edits and all of that good stuff. And not only have I learned more about craft, I think I've just learned a lot more about myself as a writer. I've really been afraid to lean into writing web serials, especially like on my Substack, because I've been telling myself like, oh, it's just not popular. Like I'm not going to find readers that way. And I've had to mature out of that mindset and like not think about what's popular and think about what's fun and fulfilling for me as a creative person, as an artist. So I'm taking my 90,000 words and breaking my story once again. It's been so much fun. And turning that into a serial. Now, as I was doing that, I went back and like read through my entire manuscript, and I still love the story. I love the characters, but there are certain elements of it that I can now see from like what I know and how I've grown as a writer that I just didn't fully commit to the expansion of the story. I was still trying to hold on to these like cozier, small town elements instead of just allowing the story to be what it wanted to be. So that is like one of the biggest things that I've changed. The entire plot, the story, the characters really oriented the romance that was happening between Thorn and Ivy, which is my male main protagonist and my female main protagonist. Like I've been really locked in, just kind of playing in the sandbox and seeing what the story could be. I took an entire trip to the library. I spent the whole day there, like talking to librarians. I'm not trying to brag, but I am on a first name basis with them. I brought my dry erase markers. I got to work on that whiteboard and really just started seeing if this story could have legs, if it was something that I was excited about, if it was something that I could commit to, because I think writing a serial, especially when you want to do it from like a cosmology or an epic fantasy standpoint, you really have to be in love with the world. So I started tinkering with it, and I think I broke it in like the best way possible. And when I say like I broke it, I mean that like I've basically put a lot of my darlings up for adoption for other stories or other things, and just decided to focus on like the one thing of this story and just really committing. And you know what? I will say this, YouTube has played an instrumental role in me coming to this conclusion, because I think that there's something powerful and very special about documenting your journey, especially if you're doing it for you and you're like kind of watching those things back just so you can see where you are and you can improve. And the one thing I was seeing as I was like watching myself back, I was like, you keep saying that you're starting over, but you are holding on so dearly to every single one of those 90,000 words, girl. You're like, but I wrote so much already. So I feel like that's the second thing that's changed. It's like, I'm really, really committing to just scrapping what I have and starting from the very beginning. Yes, I will like translate or save whatever I can if I can repurpose it, but like I really want to start from scratch. And I think that, for the last couple of like episodes of this that have come out, I've been a little afraid to let go. And I think I'm finally reaching a place where I'm not afraid to let go anymore, and that feels really good. So the one thing that's changed, I think, as far as like genre is concerned, it kind of went from this like very romance heavy, almost cozy with stakes story to this dark academia, gods, monsters, magic, and political intrigue story that is more fantasy leaning than I would say a romance hook, if that makes sense. Like there will be romance, but I know for a certainty that the romance is going to be a slow burn and multiple love interests. I don't think I'm just going to have one love interest in my entire like cosmology. And I'm calling it a cosmology because I'm really new to this like YouTube thing, and I'm just like, how much is too much to share? You know, I'm keeping all my cast of characters. I haven't had to like sideline anyone, which feels really great. I have changed a couple of names. That's been really cool. That's been really fun. I've changed all the locations. I've changed some of the relationships. I've changed people who are dead and alive. I have changed that. And I don't have like an opening scene. I don't have a hook anymore. I am literally starting from 0, 0, 0. I think that I needed to play around with what I had for as long as I could before I can really just like release it and let it go. And I think that now that I've developed something that feels, I'm like, I don't even know how else to explain it, but to say this story is like falling off the bone. Like I'm having to scramble to grab whatever I can write on to like jot things down because it's coming to me so fast. So the one thing that I struggle with as someone who is a multi-passionate person, and I like to describe being multi-passionate as in like I don't have a North Star, like I have a galaxy full of stars. So there isn't like just one thing that I want to do with my life. Like I like to write, I like to talk about movies, I like to draw, I like to do so many things. I sew, like I make my own clothes. I like to cosplay. I'm really, really into like quantum physics and science and philosophy while also being a Disney adult. So there's just like so many things that I'm interested in. And I think that leaks into the way that I write stories. And the one thing I have learned that I need as a person who is like diving head first into something of this magnitude, I need constraints. If I don't give myself boundaries about this story, it will just get out of control. And I broke it enough that like, I don't need to break it again. Now it's about putting it back together in a way that is beautiful and coherent and fun and exciting. So the first thing that we're going to be doing tomorrow is exactly that. And I'll be taking you through my process of how I, as a, oh my God, look, shiny object writer with squirrel brain, keeps myself in check. 'Cause I have to create a North Star for myself because I don't have one. And I think that every good story has a North Star. And I actually use like a little bit of my love of astrology to help me build out like this reference point that like every time I'm writing a scene, every time I'm moving the character forward, every time I'm making a critical decision within the story, this is the thing that I go to make sure that it is just coherent with what it's supposed to be. So that's going to be like our big thing tomorrow. Okay. You would think that like constraints would make you feel suffocated or boxed in as a creative person, but I think I've had like the opposite experience. And this is honestly why I like writing serials. I'm a new writer, and I think that there's something so wonderfully challenging about writing a serial. If you've ever wanted to write a serial, I think you should do it because there's nothing that's going to teach you faster how to write your way out of stuff when you cannot go back. Like when there's no safety net of, oh, I'll just go back and change this later. When you don't have that safety net and you just have to keep going because like you've already put the work out there, you will learn very fast. You will learn very, very fast. First of all, I was just yapping and I wasn't even recording. Hello. I really do hope that you can hear me because Kendrick is blasting in the background. I'm not complaining. I'm gonna hop into my Indie Pub Hub dashboard. I actually might screen record this so y'all can see. Let me scoot over. Okay, so this is what my main dashboard looks like. So here's where like all of my books are, and we're actually going to be creating a new one. So I'm going to pull this open and grab a template. And I'm just gonna fill out the preliminary stuff. Oh my God, this is like kind of scary because like, ooh, I really am starting over. We're gonna give it some time to percolate. And that peach lemonade was really, really good. It was very good. Worth every single one of my points. We're gonna put it to, well, idea, and category is going to be current whip. And ooh, I don't know how to answer that yet. Genre, I'm gonna go with fantasy, and then POV, multi POV. I don't have a cover for it yet. Well, I do, but I don't, you know? And then start date is going to be today. And I don't know when there's going to be an end date, but we got the start date on there. It's a serial, so it's ongoing. I like to plot and structure a lot of everything that I'm doing in Notion, but I will sometimes write my manuscript in a different document, be it Dabble or some other writing software, especially if I'm like on draft 2 or 3. I like that to be a little bit more manuscripty, if that makes sense. Notion is like my sandbox for everything else that I do in the authorship. Actually, this page did not load properly. Where is the rest of the stuff? There we go. I was thinking, I was like, it looks so bland. Okay. So this is what the main page looks like. It's made to be very low dopamine, where I have to make a decision on what I'm working on. So I can't like just start like clicking stuff and fixing stuff and making things look pretty. It's a very basic page for a reason. Again, squirrel brain. So this is how I basically um, work with my brain and not against it. First thing I'm going to do is go into my story builder. This is my main page for all of my books. And then here is this new section that I've put into my personal template. The template that I have out right now does not include this. If you all really like it, I could update the current template that I do have for both purchase. And I have a tour. You can watch the video here if you just want to set yours up the same as mine. My North Star consists of 3 steps. The story promise is how I work this out here. I ask myself 3 questions. What happened to my story? Why does it matter to my protagonist? And what real world truth does this reveal to like human nature universally? Like, what is the one thing that people will be able to anchor themselves to and relate to throughout the story? And then I craft a this story is about statement. So it can sound something like this. It's like a little example. The story is about how with great power also comes great responsibility, and that requires personal sacrifice for the greater good. Spider-Man. And as you can see in like every single Spider-Man movie, whether it be Tobey or Andrew Garfield or Tom Holland, that's what the story is about. They keep coming back to this like North Star, this story promise. And we know that no matter what we watch him do, whether that's fighting a purple alien in space or fighting a black goo that takes over his personality, it is about power, responsibility, and sacrifice for the greater good. So after I figured that out, I go ahead and do like my log line. I think that's like professional. It's like a blurb, whatever. Basically, the formula is I've seen this formula from so many people. It works for me. It's when inciting incident happens to protagonist, they must objective or the stakes or else stakes, but the obstacle but obstacle stands. I'm dyslexic, y'all. Okay, I can read. I promise I can. But obstacle stands in their way. And to get to the heart of this, the questions I asked is: who is my protagonist? What is my inciting incident? And what is my protagonist's goal or objective? What happens if they don't meet that goal or objective? And then what is the thing standing in their way? And then once I have those 2 things, I go into what I call my story stellium. We're getting very like star here, you know, it's giving universe, it's giving galaxy. So so with this, this is like your big 3. So like my big 3 is I'm a sun and moon Sagittarius, I'm a rising Gemini, and that gives me a very specific personality type. Basically, I don't have any chill, you know. I'm like double fire sign with, well, actually I have a fire stellium because I'm also a Mercury Sagittarius. So like triple fire sign with an air rising is just like gassing each other up all the time. It really does have this like personality. So I think that like when it comes to defining conflict and like what those central things are going to be, there's not like one central conflict. That's something that I'm really, really learning. And I feel like astrology has helped me understand that in the sense of like a fire sign and an air sign have different values and different ways that they move through the world, different things that they're anchored to. But you put those things together and it creates a very specific type of personality. It gives it something that's like multidimensional and doesn't feel super flat, right? So basically that's what I'm doing with my story. I give my story a sun sign, a moon sign, and a rising sign, and not like the signs, right? Like I do use that for something else. For this, what I'm saying is like sun gives like external conflict. Like what is the external things pushing my character towards that emotional and mental transformation? And then moon is like the internal stuff, right? Because like your moon is like your emotions and stuff. So like what is that internal stuff? And that can rising, because that's how you present to the world, is the interpersonal conflict, right? So like basically I choose my conflicts based off of these three tiers, and then I like put them into there and they become like my big three. And this really anchors me to like the style of the story, the characters that belong in this kind of story, the events that take place in this kind of story. It gives the story, I feel, like a personality, or whatever. So, or at least that's my aim. Mind you, I'm a new author, okay? I'm not teaching you. I'm teaching you what I do as I'm learning on my journey. And if you find it helpful, feel free to use it. That's what I'm going to be sitting down and doing right now. And then I'll check back in to let you know how it's going. Because if I do not have like these constraints, I literally will just start writing anything that seems fun. And I get so off task and I get so off like focus. And then I end up breaking my story and it just stops being the story that I was originally writing. And I'm so in love with this version of the story that I'm like, for the first time, I think feeling like super protective of it. And I really want it to, I really want to stick it, you know? So I'm being very intentional about the architecture. And, you know, I think like one of the, let me turn this off because I want to yap for a second. And I want to say this really quick because I think that there's this like thought, this like consensus that if you plot too much or you plan too much, you kind of take away the soul and the creativity and the spontaneity. But I read this book called Inside the Box by David Epstein, no relation, apparently. I did Google it. That just happens to be his unfortunate name. And I don't really know anything outside of this author besides this book. But I will say, reading this book was so like eye-opening, specifically for someone like me who is like a shiny object brained person, very ADHD, you know. Definitely talks about how constraints breeds the kind of innovation that allows focus and finishing. It's kind of like the overarching like research and stories and stuff within this book, and it was so so good. I am such a big advocate for self-development books, not so much self-help, because we know a lot of that is very much rooted in like Western society and like one-dimensional views about life and the world, and pull yourself out of bootstraps just doesn't work for everyone. I would know. Self-development books, I think, kind of sit in a category of their own. And there are so many books that I've read that are nonfiction that have nothing to do with writing that have literally helped my mindset, like as a writer. This book being one of them. Another one I read was Shot Ready by Steph Curry recently. So, so good. I think another one that I've been like taking in doses because it is dense and it really hits on a lot of wounds that I'm working through in my own life, but All About Love by Bell Hooks. Because, like, if you're writing romance, I think that an in depth, diverse view of love can really help you. I don't know why I thought I heard somebody say my name. I was like, what? I was about to run. But it can help you with those themes and stuff like that. So, definitely, definitely recommend, because I don't think I would have created a system like this without reading Inside the Box and realizing that, oh, this is a solution to the thing that really does hinder a lot of my progress and consistency. And I can actually do more by putting myself in this like space of constraints, because constraints really do breed innovation. When you can't do something a certain way, like think about it. What makes magic systems and fantasy the most compelling and fun is when you know the rules, when you know the rules of the world, and then you see the character come against a problem where you know they can't cross that line. It automatically gets your brain going of like, how are they going to do this now? That's what's interesting. And I think that in the same ways as a writer, putting up these constraints for myself and saying, this is the North Star, this is how you're following it, these are your conflicts, like building just the foundation of that architecture definitely keeps everything in place, but like also creates a ground for the kind of spontaneity where it does feel like the character themselves are just like talking or something like that. So yeah, anyway, very excited. Gonna get to it and I'll check back in and let y'all know how it's going. Okay, it is like 6 o'clock, I think, maybe 7, maybe 6 or 7. I lost track of time. It's 5:47. I actually finished sooner than I thought I would. I thought it was 6 p.m. already. So it's about 5 p.m. I just finished. This literally took me all day writing a blurb. Like putting your entire story into one sentence is one of the most challenging things ever, which is why I'm glad I have this template to work from. It's a very popular template. I don't really know who to like attribute it to. I think it's just something that all writers use, but I do think putting it in this structure of like creating a North Star for myself was super helpful. I was able to get my story promise. I also have my log line, and I have like my sun, moon, and rising conflict, my external, internal, and interpersonal. It was such a fun exercise. And I think just like kind of doing it my own way definitely brought a little whimsy to the whole thing. And now I feel so much more secure about the story, where it's going. I understand it better. And this is honestly the first time that I've sat down to really do this before writing a story. And to be fair, yes, it was already a manuscript, but so much has changed that like this is an entirely new story that has an entirely new blurb, entirely new names, new setting, new all of this stuff. Like it's a fractured story that I'm now putting back together. Now that I have my log line, a kind of personality type for my story, and I have my story promise, the next thing that I'm going to be getting into is just setting up my Notion dashboard for success. There are a few things I want to do that's going to make the drafting process, I believe, a lot easier for myself. I'm setting up my digital scene cards and like all that stuff in the next video. So be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to kind of see how I'm going to be doing that. And for the first time, I'm going to be trying a little bit of a different plotting structure than I usually do, specifically with this being like a cosmology and a serial. There just isn't enough time in my life and day to plan out how big and vast this story is beat by beat. I can't do it. So I needed to scale back and do something that was a little more doable with a project this big. And yeah, I know I'm back in my lounge clothes from yesterday. I am literally the person who comes home, takes off my outside clothes and like throws them into an incinerator. I have like my lounge outfits and then like I'm going outside and I will be perceived by actual other human beings' outfits. One thing about me is I am an outfit repeater, okay? So don't come over here thinking you're gonna get a fashion show. I'm gonna repeat my outfits to the day I die. I hate doing laundry. I'm so excited to get into this next phase. I'll probably just like start recording it right now, you know, and just break it up into 2 videos. So if you see me in the same outfit in the next video, it's because I'm literally going to be like, boop. Hi, welcome back. That's exactly what I'm going to do. That's exactly what I'm going to do because I am ready to get set up. I'm so excited to get started. Thank you so much for joining me. And again, if you want to watch my Notion tour. I forgot what it was called. I'm not going to lie. I was like, what is it called again? If you want to watch my full Notion tour of my Notion dashboard, you can watch it right here or right here. One day I'm going to learn which side it's going to be on. I record with my front camera. I'm not Christopher Nolan. I don't know what you want from me, but I'm going to go and get ready, I guess, for this like second vlog. I'm just going to record back to back because I'm on a roll. Let's keep these good vibes going. Good night, good afternoon, good morning. Have a great one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.